What's up, guys? So today I actually have the president of Rivera Holdings. It is actually one of my best friends, COO of ecomdegree.com, as well as the COO of herlastcall.com. Now I call him COO, but I don't know if that's like the proper title. This man pretty much does everything in the company when it comes to like actually generating revenue. And we're just gonna sit down and talk about like what the past couple of weeks has been for us. Because in the past couple of weeks, we've actually grown Her Last Call by 300%. And if you're wondering why we look handsome as fuck right now, it's because one of our partners actually flew into Miami to do a whole press release on us partnering with them in the insurance space. We can't really talk too much about it yet, but there will be a video coming out soon talking a little bit more about that. But for this video, this is for all agency owners, info operators, course creators. We're gonna talk info. So if you're new to the channel, my name is William Rivera. I've made over $50 million in this space. And currently we're doing over $2 million a month across two of our companies, one of them being ecomdegree.com, the other one being herlastcall.com. And why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
What's up, everybody? Like my boy Will said, my name is Arya. I've been working with Will for the last 4 years, working for him, growing these two amazing info companies that we have, ecomdegree.com and Her Last Call. And then we also have Rivera Holdco, which has a plethora of the biggest online creators in the space that we help essentially launch, build, and scale their webinar funnels and information products.
Yeah, and our end goal here really is for you guys to take this information and go and scale your businesses. Pretty much what I do on this channel is share all of the info that I wish I would have had when I got started in the info space back in 2019. So let's start with Her Last Call, man. A month ago, right, we were at 500K a month with Her Last Call. This is a offer around teaching women how to get into sales. And right now we're on pace to do what, about 1.5 million this month. Very healthy too, right? There's a lot of people out there that do $1 million months but make no money. We're about to do $1.5 million this month with like, what's the ad spend?
We're probably gonna spend about 450 grand.
So 450K spent in ads, $1.5 million in revenue, guys. And our expenses aren't crazy. Literally, we just have closers that we pay 10%. And then I would say our other biggest expense is like buy now, pay later, because like over 80% of our transactions go through buy now, pay later. So that's like another 10 to 15%, depending on what financing options we're using. But I want to ask you, bro, because you're really behind the scenes on everything. I mainly work with Alexis, the founder, also my girlfriend, on like the content side of things. But what took us, like, what was the biggest pivotal thing that we did to take us from 500K a month to now smashing 1.5 this month?
First, before we get into that, I gotta say, thank you for having me, brother.
Yeah, no problem.
And number two, man, it's really a plethora of things, but I would say like, in terms of like the most important thing is really advertising. And the thing that a lot of coaches and just info companies get wrong is that they don't have a consistent customer acquisition engine that can operate at scale without breaking. And you know, a lot of people in the info space have like these limiting beliefs or these fixed opinions that their paid ads won't work for their offer, or that they can't crack paid ads, or there's something wrong with their offer that, you know, it just won't work on cold traffic. And for us, you know, we felt the same as well. Like in the first year, we couldn't break past a certain point on paid ads, but that was just a limiting belief that we had. And we broke it by simply just getting better, getting more proficient at understanding what it really takes to scale paid advertising and operate it at, I mean, at this point, you know, every single week, I'm spending about $100,000 on ads to our webinar funnel. And it's not a brand new funnel. We didn't tweak the webinar very much, to be honest. But it's the fact that we got very, very radical about understanding what it takes to spend a lot of money on Meta, but spend it profitably. Because anyone could spend $100,000 a week on ads, but if you don't maintain, like you said, that really strong ROAS and have those healthy profit margins, you're putting one foot in front as far as spending more money on advertising, but you're not really making more money. And that's where a lot of people like really get it wrong. So I would say it's numerous things, but there's been nothing better for our hyper growth, you know, like you said, 300% in literally less than 30 days, than really, really, really powerful advertising.
Yeah, and let's dive deeper into that. So advertising being the key thing, which I agree. I think advertising is what scales a company, because if you're spending, let's say $20 on a lead, but your competitor can get that same lead for $10, they only have to spend half of what you spend to get the same amount of people in the funnel, right? So that puts them at a crazy advantage. What do you think right now is the most important part of advertising?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a lot of parts to any real like meta skill in operating a company. But when it comes to advertising, man, you really, really, really have to understand the stages of awareness. A lot of people, when they're advertising, they think that they can just essentially call out the customer, call out what pains they're dealing with, and they can continue to spend and unlock more spend past $1,000 a day, $2,000 a day, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, and it just doesn't work like that because as you scale advertising, your ads are being delivered to colder and colder audiences that simply are not going to take that same sales argument or that piece of content that's making an argument to sell them on the click. And so naturally, as you're spending more and more money on ads, you have to get into the mind of the customer really well. Like, okay, what is it really going to take to convert someone that maybe on a scale of skepticism, if we take that characteristic, the same ad, if someone's at maybe like a 3 out of 10 as far as skepticism, will it work if they're a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10? And 99% of the time, the answer is no. That's why the ads break. That's why your cost to acquire the lead increases, hyperinflates in some cases. And then naturally, you have to tone things down, pull your ads back, and sometimes people stay there and sometimes people, turn ads off. So if I had to give someone one tip, you really need to think, all right, as I scale these ads, will this messaging, will this piece of content, especially specifically with the ads you're making, is this going to scale to someone that may be a little more skeptical, a little more like cynical about like an opportunity that they want to get into? Because the ads are getting delivered, guys, to these people for a reason. Meta understands that, from the scale of 1 to 10 as far as skepticism or customers or how hard it is to convert them, they're interested, but is your ad good enough to really get them? That's kind of the key people need to consider. And a lot of people don't think about that at all.
Yeah, and what helps me as being a content creator, being the face of Ecom Degree, is thinking like the owner of Meta, right? Thinking like Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg will penalize you even though you're giving him money. Zuckerberg wants content on his platform that will keep people on the platform. So even if you're giving him money to play a video or to show an image, to drive leads to whatever funnel you have, if that video or image isn't appealing to people, like they're scrolling past it or they're not really engaging with it, yes, they're gonna still show your image and video because you paid, but they're gonna penalize you. And how are they gonna penalize you? Higher cost per lead, higher CPMs. But if you're giving Meta money and the video is good, now you guys are like this. They're looking at you like, wow, this guy's giving us money and the video, the content is good for our platform. The people on our platform actually like the content. That's when you unlock scale. And right now, there's a particular ad that we're running on the Her Last Call account that's getting a $9 cost per lead. 80% of our spend is going to that one ad. And then everything else pretty much has like a normal cost per lead, like $15 to $20. But that $9 cost per lead ad is saving us. And it's because it goes back to the stages of awareness. That one ad is at stage 1 of unaware. Like that one ad, you don't have to be problem aware or solution aware to resonate with it. It's a skit, and it will get the attention of just a random person scrolling, even if they have no interest in getting into remote sales. And I think that's what a lot of course creators struggle with, is they rip very generic ads that are being recycled. Like for example, I have an ecom coaching offer. If I make a video and I'm like, hey, if you want to learn how to make money online, that ad is only going to appeal to people that have already thought about making money online and they already understand what drop shipping, Amazon, e-commerce is. But if I make another ad, such as one of my best ads of all time, where I'm like, hey, before you buy this Fiji water, now that casts a way wider net, because now people are like, oh, like, what does he mean by that, right? It piques the interest. Can you dive into like the ad that's working for Her Last Call right now and the psychology behind it? Why do you think it's working so well?
Yeah, 100%, bro. One, I mean, you cooked crazy. And that ad that he had, guys, that one ad, pretty sure it got north of $5 million and generated a bulk of the $50 million that, we've made with ecomdegree.com. So if that doesn't tell you the power of just what one banger ad could do for you, and it ran for such a long time. So that ad was insane. Definitely one of the top ads in the space of all time.
It was the only reason we scaled. I remember at the time, I had a whole bunch of clients in this mastermind called Modern Day MBA. A couple of the members you guys may know, Dion Coopwood, Carter Cofield, David Omari. I helped all those guys get to over $1 million a month. And they would always ask me like, Will, like, how are you doing these multiple 6-figure days? How are you getting that cost per lead? And at the time, I would give them advice, but like now in hindsight, really the only reason why I was doing so much better is that one ad was carrying my ad account, and they didn't have a God tier ad like the one that I had. And it's because a lot of their ads were generic, they were normal, whereas I had an ad that just appealed to such a broad audience, and it just it made my blended CPL so low to where I only had to spend half of what they were spending to get double the amount of people in the room. And at the end of the day, like if you know your numbers when it comes to a webinar funnel, like you know you're gonna get a 20% opt-in rate. You know that you're gonna convert maybe 10% of the room or 30-40% of the room if you're doing a book a call, and those numbers stay consistent. The biggest lever you can pull is just getting more people in the room, right? So if you're able to hack that cost per lead, that's what unlocks scale in my eyes. But how do you see it?
I mean, bro, you're 100% right. Number one, like if you didn't see that ad, maybe Will do y'all a solid, and maybe pull it from the archive so y'all can check it out. But I mean, 100%, bro. Like it's like you said. I want to touch on something you said that will really, like, I think give people like an aha moment. Nobody wants to scroll and see that hook if you're interested in making money online, because naturally, guys, put yourself in the mind of a marketer. Like think like a marketer and then put yourself in the shoes of the customer. Nobody wakes up and says, I need to buy a course today.
Yeah.
Nobody wakes up and says, I need to join a webinar today. Like people just naturally don't think like that. So the reason that ad and just the general principle that Will's talking about is like you have to have a really good scroll stopper, something that gets people to think like, huh. And once the ad can stop the scroll and hook them, at that point you need to have a really strong ad that's curiosity invoking, can get them to consume much of it. And it makes such a good sales argument, either directly or indirectly. Usually the ones that scale the most are very indirect, kind of like the skit that we have that I'll break down. And then once you do that, the traffic's qualified and they click, and then boom, your funnel should be able to do the rest of the work. But I 100% agree with what you said, bro. Like, and it just goes back to the principle that think like a customer. Nobody wakes up and says, I need to buy a course or a community today. So your ad has to be really hyper compelling to garner that attention from the customer. So just like you said, that's number one. And then number two, to break down the ad, this is gonna be kind of funny. So I'm actually in the ad. It's live right now. Maybe like by the time you're watching this video, who knows? It'll probably still be live because it is a banger. And in about 10 days, that ad, like Will said, has gotten 80% of our total account spend. And it's spent in 10 days, guys, about $100,000, which if you're in the marketing space, you should know that that's absolutely insane. As far as numbers in the time frame. But the premise of the ad and why it's so good is, one, it's got a really great hook. So it's a skit style ad, but the hook is essentially me and a girl sitting down and we're having an argument, and then I call her like a degrading slur. I call her a slut basically. And then naturally it segues in a really indirect fashion. Alexis comes into the ad and essentially saves her and introduces her to the opportunity of remote sales in a very subtle way. If you're able to check out the ad, you'll know what I mean, but that ad is so well produced, it was so well thought out, and that's why it's executing well, it's performing well. We really took the time to like put together a really unique concept that not a lot of people are doing, because like Will said, if everyone in the market is literally pulling out their phone and saying, if you want to learn how to make money online, if you want to learn how to get into remote sales, if what 90% of the market is doing, do you expect to really get, a 99th percentile result? You're just not. So there's a really good Dean Graziosi quote that'll kind of like encapsulate this. And it says, don't follow the model, create it. And that's essentially what the fuck we did. We didn't follow what the industry was doing. We created it, and obviously like the results are speaking for themselves.
Yeah, because if you just copy what everyone else is doing, you can only probably get half of the result that they're getting, because there is a first mover advantage. Like the people that move early on opportunities, they're obviously going to milk the opportunity the most. And then everyone that copies after can only get maybe 30%, 40%, maybe even 50% of of the result that they're getting. So when it comes to advertising, we don't really look at our competitors. We don't look at what everyone else is doing. We as a team strategize and ideate and come up with concepts that we know will stop the scroll. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, like, the hook doesn't have to really be related to what we sell. It just has to stop the scroll. Now, on this ad, it actually does stop the ICP of our customer, which is women, because he calls the girl a slut. So it's like a girl watching that is gonna be like, yo, what the fuck, why did he do that? And then when Alexis comes and saves her and starts talking about like, hey, you can't let him talk to you like that. Why are you with him? Then she says, he pays all my bills, which is one of the biggest pain points of our customers at HLC, right? It's women that are in relationships that they don't really want to be in, but the guy is the breadwinner, so they're kind of like stuck in that situation. So the ad, honestly, if you really break it down, it's genius, and our whole team came up with that. But now we're at the point where we've realized that we've always kind of known it, but now it's like really in front of our face. Like, okay, that's the key to scale. So now we're bringing on more people to our team, creative strategists, UGC creators, video editors that can help us launch way more of those video styles way faster rather than us just coming up with them ourselves. And I think one of the main reasons why we've been able to scale as well, and I've talked about this before, is that we don't think like an info company. We try to think outside of the box, because if you just think like an info company, you're never really going to get great results. You have to look outside of it and look at other industries where they're actually able to spend $100K a day and they're doing $10 million a month, $20 million a month. And when you do that, you start to see that the e-commerce companies, like the supplement companies, those are usually the types of companies that are able to scale at that level. And their org chart looks way different than an info company org chart. And what you'll notice very quickly is that they have multiple creative strategists, they have multiple video editors, and they have multiple people in the company that are coming up with ad ideas and editing videos and putting out concepts and testing them on Meta. Whereas in the info space, it's usually literally just the founder that's coming up with all the ideas themselves. And a lot of the ads are low effort, which is why they don't get really great results at all.
Yeah, man, well said, bro. That was a lot of game for them. I couldn't agree. Like, you want to be an outlier, guys. If you just copy what everyone else is doing, you're not going to get those outlier results. You're kind of just going to be like in the middle of the bell curve. And yeah, I couldn't agree. But yeah, I mean, I'd say number one above all else. I think number two, which we can get into next, would be great. But number one above all else, guys, it's advertising at a hyper elite level.
So yeah, so that's key right there. And then number two, what do you think is the second most important thing for someone that's trying to scale? If they nail down the advertising, number two, what in your opinion is important?
Undoubtedly, guys, it's number two is hand in hand with marketing. It's sales, and it's high performance, elite level sales. So a lot of people don't know this. HLC has an incredible sales manager. Shout out to him. He is running our entire sales team, multiple departments, the inbound, the outbound, the admin team that basically ensures that leads are showing up to the calls, recapturing leads that don't show up to calls. And yeah, that entire department is operating at an elite level. And that's what it takes, guys, because if you're able to generate a lot of attention, you have to be able to essentially take that attention and monetize it well. Otherwise, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, and money is literally leaking through the bucket. So number two is sales, and it's, man, sales. The sales team is crushing right now on HLC. They're collecting, guys, about literally $55,000 a day. And our biggest day, and we actually have a crazy stat, this month we broke the company record 3 times in 1 week for cash collected. Our last company record for cash collected in a day was in 2025. It was March 31st. We did about $66,000 in a day. This month, we did a $77,000 day. We did an $85,000 day. And then a couple days later, we did $96.9 thousand.
And what's crazy is the same day that they hit a $96,000 day, another one of our offers, Ecom Degree, did a $100,000 day.
114.
Yeah, which is wild.
Insane.
It's a blessing. But I agree. Yes, sales is key. When I talk to my clients, my friends, a lot of times when they don't have the sales management in place, they struggle to sell these people when they book a call because their strength isn't sales. A lot of times, if you're a founder and you're making all the content, you're doing the webinar, you're doing everything, maybe you might be a great content creator, you might be a great marketer, but sales is its own art. And when I hop on these Zoom calls and they're telling me, yeah, I hop on these sales calls and like these people have all these objections, I can immediately tell it's because you're not a good salesperson, because by the end of the sales call, they really shouldn't have any objections, right? And you really, if you want to scale, you have to put an A player in that department. You have to have an A player closer, number one. Then you have to have an A player sales manager that's on top of the closers and hiring more closers as you're able to scale. Like, for example, our sales team, I think a month or 2 months ago, we had like 3 closers, 4 closers, and now we're about to have 20, right? You can't scale from 3 closers to 20 unless you have someone that's really managing that department, training, hiring, recruiting, and doing that on a daily basis. And also, one thing that I've seen that literally just boosts the revenue of a lot of info companies is when they just let someone handle that sales department and they just focus what they're good at, which is something that we've done for other offers as well, where we'll come in, we'll actually take our main guy, Sham, that he's talking about, our VP of sales, and he'll come in and he'll just recruit, hire the talent, and manage the talent. And now the founder and whoever else they have a part of their company can just focus on the marketing. And we're blessed to have an A player in marketing, which is Arya and me. We kind of go we collaborate on the marketing and the ops, and then Sham controls the sales. And then our founder, Alexis, because we're managing the sales and marketing for her, she can focus on what she's good at, which is showing up to the webinar every week and having high energy and going crazy there, converting 40 to 50% of the room to book a call, and then also creating content or recording the scripts that our creative strategists censor. And when you have that perfect lineup, that all-star lineup, and everybody's just doing what they're supposed to be doing, that's when you get that beautiful, like all pistons are firing feeling, and you're able to really scale.
It's really like, the last thing I'll say about this, man, I don't get, like, maybe you can talk about this too. I don't get why so many founders and creators also don't like see they don't have like a, wow, like this switch went off in my head. Like, guys, these are your revenue driving departments, marketing and sales. And the fact that so many founders are like doing the sales themselves, like huge creators that we work with, they'll come to us and say like, hey, I'm taking my own sales calls. We're like, wow. You shouldn't be at all. You should be focusing on what you're best at doing, posting content, garnering attention, sharing your story, and you need A-level sales talent and marketing talent to make sure that you can actually take all that attention and monetize it. And it's really overlooked in the industry, like a lot more than I thought once we started working with a lot of our portfolio clients. But man, if you don't have these things like in line, or you haven't been considering them, you have no idea what a huge lift it'll have in your business.
Yeah, because you're just going to grow slower trying to do everything yourself. Like, I was talking to a guy the other day, and I asked him, I was like, are you confident in what your offer is? And he was like, yeah, what I teach, nobody else teaches in the space. And I was like, okay, awesome. Are you confident in the webinar that you do every single week? And he was like, yeah, whenever I do the webinar, I crush it. People book calls. And then I asked him, and I was like, okay, then why are you taking all the sales calls? And he pretty much, his objection to me was, I'm not booking enough sales calls for it to be reasonable for me to hire a closer. And my perspective on it was, look, if you just spend more on advertising, if you just spend more money on ads because you're confident that your offer is good, you're confident that your webinar is good, you'll be able to book more calls for it to be reasonable for you to have closers. But right now, because you have this limiting belief that you have to close the deals, your close rate is going to be terrible, and you're actually going to never have enough cash to scale. Whereas like if you just spent a little bit more money on the marketing and put an A player closer to replace you immediately, you'll immediately start closing double, triple the amount of deals, and then you'll be able to scale. But some people, they want to do everything themselves. This guy went out and bought a sales course. And I'm like, bro, why are you trying to learn how to be a closer? Like, be a business owner. You don't have to play in every role. And I think that handicaps a lot of people in this space. You see it in other industries as well, where the founder is he's the bottleneck of the business. Like he's the actual bottleneck.
And man, bro, so many people don't understand this. There's like there's a great mentality on this too. You as a founder or whatever you're doing, if you're doing sales, marketing, ops, you got to figure out what you're a 7 and 8 at and max that shit out. Take it to a 9, take it to a 10, because why are you trying to work on other skills? Like for an example, this founder, great offer, great story. Obviously he generates the attention, posts the content. Why is he trying to do sales that he's probably a 3 or 4 at? And the reason that you have to think like that is because there are people out there that are doing sales that are 9 or 10. And you can't compete with them, obviously. So why are you trying to max out that skill when you just need to literally delegate and put someone in your business that has that proficiency in that department you need, so you can again focus on what makes you money, which is posting content and focusing on what you're good at as the founder. And so many people get this wrong. So many of our clients that we talk to get this wrong, and that we help solve for them.
Yeah, it's you can't be the bottleneck of your own business. Like you have to. If you're a CEO, if you're a founder, you have to look at your business like you're building an all-star team, and that team is going to win you the championship, not you. So if you start focusing on the people rather than the result, and you understand that the people are actually going to get the result, that's how you're actually going to scale. And I think one of my biggest strengths and why I've been able to make it to where I am today is I've always been a lazy person. So I've actually never wanted to ever do the work. So back when I was only making 30K a month and I was doing everything, I was like, damn, this is hell. Like I have to make the content, I have to edit the content, I have to do the sales, I have to go in my DMs and close people. I need help. And the first hire that I ever made was a media buyer. Now I didn't have to rely on organic content anymore. I had someone that was just going to take my money and get me a consistent amount of leads every single day. And I was confident that that my webinar was good. So now my only job was to show up to the webinar, and then I had a media buyer that would bring the leads to the webinar, and then I'm making an offer on the webinar. And that alone took me to 300K a month. Then the next thing that I knew I needed to go from 300K a month to $1 million a month was to create a high ticket offer. Now, again, I'm lazy. I'm like, man, I don't want to create a high ticket offer. I don't want to fulfill on a high ticket offer. I brought in another employee to my company. He created the high ticket offer and he placed the closers in my business. And then boom, immediately now I had a sales department. So I got a marketing guy. Now I got a sales guy. That immediately took us to $1 million a month. Then we literally with that same team went to $2 million a month because my sales guy kept hiring more and more closers, managed them, and then my marketing guy kept doing what he was doing. And I only focused on content and creating better ads. And we literally got to $2.2 million a month with just that. And it's only because I had team. Myself, I was only capable of making 30K a month. And a lot of you guys watching this, you're stuck right there. I talk to founders all the time that are stuck at like 30K to 50K a month. I literally onboarded someone yesterday. They paid me for consulting that's doing 50K a month every month, which is good money. But she understands that in order for her to get to the next level, she has to stop relying on organic content because she already knows her content is good. So now she just has to pay for more eyeballs to her content, to her webinar, and then have a sales guy that's going to take those leads and close them. And then that's how she's actually going to scale. So I'm excited to see her scale. But the faster you realize that, the faster that you're going to scale. Now, I want to ask you this. For the people that are watching this that are under 100K a month and they're doing everything organically, what's your advice to them? I've gone on rants on this channel about how I feel about organic, but I want to hear like from your perspective.
I mean, guys, like you heard it right here. He actually dropped it really indirectly from, the man that's made $50 million online. The first hire that he made that took his business from $30,000 a month to 300, a literally 10x delta, was a media buyer. If you're doing 100K a month or less, odds are you are not running any type of paid advertising. You're solely relying on all of your organic followers and your organic content, which, there's nothing wrong with it. But again, the issue is that traffic burns out very quickly. And once it does, you don't have a business anymore. And when you're in business, it's all about sustainability. We all want to continue to make money, but we want to make money for a long time and stable. Because if you can do 100K a month, but next month you're at 30, next month you're at 35, and it just ebbs and flows, that's not a business. So like Will said, the first hire that he made was a media buyer. If you can literally turn on paid ads, not even at hyperscale at the level that we're at, you'll get there. But the first needle moving thing that you can do is literally just pay for attention, pay Meta or pay whatever ad platform. You should start on Meta first to get you more eyeballs, get you more people into your conversion mechanism, ideally a webinar. You'll make more money. And naturally, on the days that you don't post organic content, paid ads are continuously running. So now you actually have a system. You don't have a system when you're posting organic content, because when you're not posting content, again, you have no business, you have no traffic or eyeballs going to your conversion event. So I would say that for anyone that's under 100K a month, 99% of you are not running paid ads. The biggest, most high leverage thing that you should do first in terms of order of importance is get a media buyer, get someone that's good at running paid ads, and start spending money to acquire leads.
Yeah, and it's also just harder to scale organically, like much harder if you really think about it, because especially if you're posting short form content, the half-life on your content is like 24 hours. So the content that you post today is only going to get you leads today for 24 hours. Then tomorrow you have to post again to get leads. Whereas with us, we go and have a content day. We might record 3 videos, 4 videos, and someone watching this might be recording 3 to 4 videos a day. We're maybe doing this once a week, but those 3 to 4 videos that we record, we run ads to them, and they might get us leads for 6 months. They might get us leads for a year, whereas you're putting in the same amount of effort, if not more, and that video is only getting you leads for 24 hours.
And then think about the ROI, guys. One piece of content, his top ad of all time. I mean, think of the ROI on that. You made that, in I think maybe a day, maybe an hour, maybe 30 minutes, and it generated him well over $15 million. I mean, the return on that is just, I can't even quantify it, but it's probably like 50,000x. So if you're posting organic content right now, guys, and you're not running paid ads, man, you really are leaving a lot of money on the table, and you're spending a lot of your time as a founder on a system to acquire leads that's not really paying you very well.
Yeah, so you guys, like, if you need help with paid ads, if you need help with the sales management, we do offer that service. We do offer consulting. We offer webinar build outs. We do all of this for people that are actually serious about scaling. I don't want to hard pitch you or anything, but if you guys are interested in learning more about that and actually having someone on my team do a free audit of the revenue leaks in your business, I'm going to include a book a call link down below. And something else that I'm going to include down below is we keep mentioning Sham in this video, which is he's our director of sales, VP of sales, whatever you want to call him. He does the sales for Her Last Call, and also like all of the clients that we work with. We actually did a video just like this where he was actually sitting down with us as well. I think it's the most underrated video on my channel. We actually went for over an hour when we were out in Utah visiting a partner. I'm gonna also attach that video somewhere on this screen, maybe in the description, for you guys to go ahead and check out that, because that's a very valuable video for you guys to go and watch. He's like super smart. And the 3 of us together, like, we're like Dwayne Wade, LeBron, and Chris Bosh in 2012.
Yeah, it's nasty. We should tell them about number 3 for HLC, which I think you'll love to talk about.
What do you think?
Get into that?
Yeah, what do you think is number 3?
So number 1, we went into marketing. Number 2 is sales, but I hate putting this at number 3 because it's like ranking the Olympic team players. They're all so good, and I don't want to feel like I'm sliding this, but this is powerful, and it's the webinar framework, the conversion event that makes this whole thing run. And there's really 2 parts to it. There's the webinar framework part that I'll talk about, but then it's also the attractive character and how she essentially does the webinar. So the first part of it is the webinar framework. HLC's webinar, guys, the statistics are absolutely insane. For every 100 buyers that we have that see 100 people that we have see the pitch, about 50% of them are converting to a book a call opportunity. And, you know, we've seen a lot of webinars and compared metrics up to those. And it's like the difference between others and our portfolio clients and ours are just insane. And naturally, you know, thanks to Will's experience in webinars and his perfect webinar framework, we're able to generate numbers like that. So on a webinar, guys, it's very easy to kind of water down like someone showing up on Zoom or Webinar Jam and doing a presentation, but the details matter. The details of the webinar intro, the transition, the pitch, the offer, and everything that the offer entails and how it's packaged and delivered. All of those things are incredibly important. Those are the details that, you know, get you something like a 50% book rate on cold traffic at scale. So, and I'd love to hear you talk more about that, man. You've done at this point well over, I think, 500 live webinars over, you know, 8 years. And I think there's no better person to break that down than you.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I love the webinar framework is because I had a breakthrough moment years ago, back in 2019, 2020, where I realized that my content was good. The people that would see my content would tell me that it was great. They would comment, they would purchase, but it just wasn't getting the views that I felt like it deserved. And I realized that it's because people buy based on watch time. So like the higher the watch time of the lead, the more likely that they're going to buy. And when you're only posting short form content, it's hard to get a lot of watch time out of that customer, out of that lead, out of that follower. And if watch time is the most important thing that leads to a sale, this is why you'll see people on YouTube with 10K subscribers make way more money than someone on Instagram with 1 million followers, right? Because this person that has 10K subscribers, although they have less followers, they have higher watch time on average per follower, per subscriber, right? Whereas the 1 million follower influencer, their average watch time of a follower might be only like a couple minutes. Whereas the YouTubers, it's an hour, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, right? So I was like, okay, how can I force the watch time of my followers to go up, the average watch time per follower? And the only way to really do that and to do it the best way is with webinars, because on average, it takes about 6 months for someone to get enough watch time on IG, TikTok, all these short form platforms for them to eventually trust you, right? And then when they trust you, they start comparing you to all the other people in your niche. And then after they compare you to all the people in your niche and they deem you as better, if you get to that stage, they then start seeing if they resonate with you enough to purchase your stuff, right? Whereas with a webinar, you don't have to wait 6 months. You can go through that full 6 month cycle in 1 hour, 2 hours, because in that 2 hour presentation, you're introducing yourself and telling your story. So now they're able to know, like, and trust you in one presentation. You're giving them value. So now you're gaining authority, you're gaining credibility, and you're also telling your story, which allows them to resonate with you as well. And then at the end, you're simply just telling them like, hey, I just gave you all this value. You can literally go out there and implement this and get results. But for those of you guys that want more of a hand-holding experience, I have this offer. Do you want to hear what it is? They comment yes, and then you just tell them what it is. And the conversion rate is just crazy because you just spent that 1 hour, that 2 hours with them, educating them, getting them to like you. Whereas all the other people that they follow on social media, they haven't spent 1 hour with them. They haven't spent 2 hours with those people. They probably watched the 30-second reel and that's it. Or maybe they watch 5 30-second reels and that's it, right? And that's why the webinars convert so crazy. And really, I have to give a big shout out to Jason Fladlin. I really just followed his framework from his book. What's his book? One to Many. And for any of you guys that are looking to build a webinar, I would first recommend reading that book, One to Many by Jason Fladlin. And then I've tweaked it over time, right? Because I read his book back in 2020. And when I first started doing webinars, it was a traditional webinar where it was intro, content, transition, then pitch. Those were like the steps. And then I would do an offer. So the pitch on the webinar was actually a direct to cart. So I was selling a $997 course on the webinar, and people would buy that $997 course, and then they would go to a thank you page where they would see a video of me telling them, congratulations for enrolling. First thing I want you to do is to book a call. They would then book a call, and then we would send 40% of the webinar buyers of that 997 offer to a 5K offer. And that webinar we ran for about 2 years straight, maybe 3 years straight. And we made over $30 million with that right there, that alone. Now we're in an era where, in my opinion, people say we're in a trust recession. I do believe that, yes. But I just think we're in a recession in general. People really don't got money right now, right? So we're in an era where, number one, people don't trust others as much. And number two, they don't have as much money as they used to have. So it's harder for you to get someone to purchase right then and there on a webinar because number one, they're skeptical, and number two, they might not have the money. So we've transitioned from pitching an offer on the webinar to pitching a book a call so we can gain even more trust over the phone with them speaking to a human, but also most importantly, we can now offer them buy now, pay later options, financing options over the phone, and walk them through the application. And that has just been huge because the buy now, pay later options that are available now are insane. Right? Like we're in an era right now where there's some good buy now, pay later options where people can pay as low as $400 to get into your 5K offer. And you get everything up front minus the processing fees, right? So the way that I look at it, and I was literally talking to one of my clients yesterday, they're doing the traditional webinar, webinar to a 997 offer, and they're crushing it too. I think they spent like 18K in a week and made 50 on the webinar, which is good. That's like over a 3 ROAS, right? But what I told them is I was like, you have to think about it like this. There's people on the webinar that number one can't afford to pay $1,000, or number two, even if they can afford to pay $1,000, and even if they did go ahead and buy it, just like those 50 people that bought it on your last webinar, wouldn't you rather them pay $400 instead of $1,000? They pay less, but you make 5x more. Instead of them paying $1,000, they can pay $400, but you make $5,000, because that's how the buy now, pay laters work. And I think if you shift your mentality to think like that, it's a better offer for the customer and it's a better deal for you as the founder. So we've realized that we would rather just pack our sales team's calendar with calls and just sling buy now, pay later. And now we're booking 2,000 calls a month.
Over 2,000 calls a month pacing this month.
Right. So imagine if you were booking 2,000 calls a month for your product, your service, whatever your offer is. It's kind of hard not to make money at that point.
Oh, not to make money, a lot of money. And many of you, just to kind of touch on what he said too, like if you have buyers in your webinar, guys, buyers also psych themselves out. They make considerations, like he said. They'll say, not only do I not have this, but how many people have it and they just can't justify spending $1,000 with you? A lot of people will psych themselves out of that. And because you in your company don't have the infrastructure to kind of make those deals over the line, like maybe you don't have dialers calling them, you don't have setters reaching out to them, maybe on live chat, you just can't really recapture those sales in an efficient way. And that's why you naturally lose them and your webinars are just converting so low. And that's why, again, your ROAS on those webinars, especially on paid, is not performing well, which handicaps you to scale because you're not making enough cash from your conversion events. So that's another consideration too. If you don't have a lot of infrastructure, which you should, the book a call framework is just so much better, especially in the time that we're in right now.
Yeah, and the main objection that I always get from people that I suggest to run a webinar to book a call is that they don't have closers. And it's like, if that's your only objection, just get closers. It's like it's not that hard to hire closers. If you're going out there and doing your job and posting content and booking calls, and you're also a serious business owner, and you understand that if you spend money on Meta, you can book even more calls and you're confident in your offer, then you're in a position to bring someone into the company or pay someone to bring someone into the company so that they can take those calls and deliver a much better sales call because they're actually a salesperson, get you a higher close rate and make you money. And then also you'll change that person's life. We have people in our company right now that are salespeople that are making $10,000 in commissions a week. A week.
Yeah. Our top closer is on pace to do $40,000 this month.
Yeah, and I think our worst closers are doing like $3,000 to $5,000 a week, which is still over 10K a month, right? If you're watching this, I'm assuming you're a founder, you're an offer owner, you're a course creator. You've created a product that can not only change your life, like it changed mine, right? It allowed me to become a millionaire at 21. It allowed me to buy my mom a house at 22, do all the things that you guys see now on my pages. But most importantly, and what fulfills me the most, is I've been able to change a lot of people's lives through this company. Alexis, from her last call, is now changing a lot of people's lives through her company. And you have that same power, right? If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a founder, like, you've been blessed with this idea. You are built different. Not everyone goes out there and tries to build something, right? You actually have the courage or had the courage to go ahead and have built something. Now you need to like drop your nuts a little bit and go all in so that you can build a big enough business that pays you well and pays all the people within it well as well. I think you owe yourself to do that.
It's true. It's true. I have no follow-up to that. That was bars, bro. That's straight facts. A lot of business owners just like, it's the famous Jim Rohn quote, bro. Like, you have to work harder on yourself than you do anything else in life. And naturally, like, every entrepreneur will get stuck at the level of their personal growth and their limiting beliefs that they haven't broken yet. So
100%. 100%. So look, here's how I want to end this video. There's very few channels on YouTube, even the channels that are bigger than me, even the people that you may look up to, that talk about what they're currently doing. And this isn't shots at anyone, but learn from people that are currently doing what it is that you want to do and are crushing it in what it is that you want to do, right? I could easily go on YouTube and make videos about what I've done. I've made over $50 million in this space, and I do have videos where I talk about those things that I've done. But right now, we're currently making $2 million a month, and we'll probably, on just her last call offer alone, by the end of the year, we'll probably be doing $4 to $5 million a month just on that offer alone. Mm-hmm. We have the projections are all pointing to that number. And what I want to do in this video is, because you guys have the opportunity, because you're watching this video and you're learning from two people that are actually doing this right now, I want to pull back the curtain and actually tell you guys our plans on what it is that we're going to do to scale this company even further. So we're at $1.5 million a month right now with her last call. That's probably what we're going to end the month at. And my goal, I don't know what your goal is. I'm pretty sure we probably align. We want to do $3 million next month. How are we going to do that?
Well, guys,
give them all the sauce. Like, what are the strategies? We had a meeting earlier today that I think is going to allow us to do that $3 million a month, that consulting call that we had today. Mm-hmm. Just give them everything that we're going to be doing in real time right now in 2026 in this market that we're in, to take that offer from what it's doing right now, 1.5 to 3 M's by next month.
Well, look, guys, if you've been paying attention and you've been taking notes, which I'm sure you have, you'll probably just realize that the two things that we're going to be doing is going to be more of marketing and more of sales. And the sky is really the limit, guys. There is no ceiling to when it comes to advertising more. To be honest, Grant Cardone, at his age, at a big scale, he's running his company, guys. Look at how much he's advertising. Look at how much he's marketing. And that's why his info company does multiple 9 figures a year. It's the same thing with sales. Guess how many salespeople he has? They dial over 15,000 people a day. And that's just a statistic to tell you guys, wow, there's always more I could do, right? So we're just simply going to be doing more, guys. On the marketing side, me and Will have been collaborating on a lot of different departments and strategic hires that we're going to be making. One of them is that creative strategist. We're actually working on a very, very big project with one another that we'll be sharing very soon. And that's going to help the entire info space help get results like the e-commerce space is getting. And that's going to be instrumental for a lot of people. We're going to be implementing that and operating that at an elite level within our own companies first. And then we will take all of those systems, all of those processes, and license them to all of our portfolio clients. So if you're not working with Rivera Holdings and you're not growing your information company, but you want to, like Will said, that book a call link is down below for you to learn more about those offerings that we have and working with us to scale your company. But we'll be implementing those things in our offers first. And naturally, all of our clients will be the first ones to get those before we do a wider release on the marketing side. And then on the sales side, guys, again, it's just more. Nobody out there can build a $3 million company without extensive sales reps, a lot of heads, layers of leadership in the sales department. And yeah, we're just going to be doing a lot more. And there's going to be so many amazing systems, SOPs, and strategy that is going to help take our companies to the next level, and that are going to help a lot of other great course creators and info operators do the same for their clients and for their own businesses.
I love it. I mean, Hormozi says it best, right? More and better. That's all we're doing. We're going to do more of what's already working. So more advertising. We're going to figure out how we can spend even more, right? We're spending 12K a day right now, if not more. We want to spend more. We want to spend 30K a day, 40K a day. How can we?
I want to spend 50K a day.
Yeah, 50K a day. How can we do that and maintain our cost per lead, right? Maintain a good enough cost per lead to where we're still really, really profitable. And
I want to spend, bro, our revenue target on ads per month, 3 mil a month.
There we go. And you need a savage in the marketing department that thinks that way for you to ever get to these numbers and beyond. And on the sales side, just like you said, our partner Sham that runs the sales department, he's all in and focused on just how many sales reps can he hire next month. We're about to have 20. How can he get us to 30? And how can he collaborate with us to make sure that we're generating enough leads for 30, which we actually don't even have an issue with that right now, because even right now we're like short. Like
we're closer constraint right now.
Yeah. That's like our biggest constraint in our company, is that we literally don't have enough sales reps to close these deals. So actually, if you're watching this and you're a sales rep, for this offer, you got to be a female. But if you're a female sales rep that has, over 6 figures in cash collected, definitely DM my guy Sham, which I linked his Instagram on the podcast that we all did together. That's going to be in the description down below. But yeah, guys, there's no secret. Just more of what we're doing and better advertising, better sales. And I would say if there is one secret, it's the webinar framework. That is the secret. Without the webinar framework, without that webinar model where we're doing the webinar to book a call. Also on Tuesday, we do the encores. I have videos where I dive more into exactly how the webinar works. That is our secret. That is our bread and butter. And that's what we've been doing the past 5 years. And we've just evolved. We've tweaked little things on that webinar over the years. And that's why you're seeing the results that we have today. The webinar framework, team, and then just more and better. So hopefully you got some value out of this video. Guys, if you have any questions for us, just drop them down below in the comments. Any suggestions for future video topics, drop those down below in the comments as well. And man, this was a fun video. Appreciate you for being on, bro.
All right, bro. Appreciate you for having me. I'd love to like get a re-invite when we get to like a $50 million a year company.
Y'all let me know. Should I bring Arya back to the channel? Let me know down below in the comments. Hey guys, have a great rest of your day and keep making more money. Bye.
Hell yeah.